black woman with a disability comes with a different kind of pressure that nobody ever talks about, and we should. On one hand, we're dealing with internalized ableism, where we're constantly trying to prove how capable we are, how independent we are, and essentially prove that we're not a burden. And then on the other hand, we're dealing with the strong, independent black woman trope, where our strength is the only thing that is expected and praised and centered around who we are. So when you're a black woman with a disability, you end up carrying both, where you're strong enough to survive and brave enough to navigate systems that weren't built with you in mind. But when your strength is boxed into the only thing that people want to acknowledge, everything else about you gets overlooked. Your softness, your beauty, your personality. And so when you're a black woman with a disability wanting to be in your soft girl era, this is not helpful. So the next time you see a black woman with a disability, don't stop at just acknowledging her strength. Recognize her presence, her beauty, her style, her laugh, her humor, because being seen fully matters just as much as being respected.
Disabled folks, what's the weirdest assumption people make about your disability? I'll go first. I have had the consistent experience throughout my life where people will see that I have a physical disability and they will assume that I am unintelligent. Like, I remember in high school, like, we had a keyed off elevator. Like, you had to find somebody who had the key to let you onto the elevator, and usually it was either the gym teacher or the janitor. We had gotten a new janitor, so I had asked this guy, like, hey, can you unlock the elevator so I can get on and get up to my class on the second or third floor? He heard me ask him that in like a typical average speaking voice. And he still proceeds to turn to me, like he unlocks the key to the door to the elevator and is like, do you need help to get on the elevator? He spoke in the slowest, most exaggerated way because he was working under the assumption that I had a psychological delay of some sort because of my physical disability. And I think about that man often. I don't know what people be thinking sometimes. Is it just me? Well, I'd love to hear y'all experiences. It makes me feel less alone with all this shit I've been through. I would love to hear about it in the comments.
I could not fathom you would have pride in something so oppressed. And I will be honest with you, when I was in my early 20s, I did a protest march with disabled people, and one of them had a bumper sticker that said, I have disability pride. And I was like, this person is ridiculous. How could you have pride over this awful thing? But that was where I started, right? Because I had internalized those messages. I spend a lot of time cycling through internalized ableism, and I would bet a lot of us do. And basically, it just means that we are internalizing or coming to believe these ideas that are ableist. So we're not worthy, we're not capable, we're not competent, we're not good lovers, we're not good partners, right? Really internalizing those. Why? Because ableism is such a heavy stream of material that just flows on your body, your soul, your being, and it's constant from all forces, media, built environments, suggesting that you don't belong. And it makes sense that we would come to believe them. It takes effort to unlearn those issues. But you move through and you find disability culture and comrades. Wow, it really shifts things.
Oh, well, in that case, look, I'm not going to bother. I'll just turn around.
I have to preface this video because if not, people are going to get in their feelings, and honestly, people are still going to in their feelings because anytime I bring up a topic talking about race, I get a whole bunch of white people that try to jump down my comment section trying to basically say we're not the only person that's suffering. I'm not invalidating nothing that y'all going through. I'm speaking on behalf of people that look like me. So if it's going to offend you in advance, I'm begging you, please keep scrolling. I have to do this video. Now, so I want to talk about, and I'm titling this video, why are black patients passed over for rare disease diagnosis, but specifically with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Now, a couple of things stand out to me, right? EDS symptoms look different on darker skin. Clinical signs like translucent skin, visible veins, easy bruising, and scarring were originally described in light-skinned white individuals. On melanated skin, veins are less visible. Mind you, most doctors told me you don't look like you have EDS. but you can clearly see my veins, right? But it's not as it would be on a white counterpart because our skin is darker. Bruises appear later or may look different, hyperpigmentation and or darker hues. Scarring may result in keloids or hyperpigmentation rather than papery scars that they're looking for. Medical textbooks and training focuses on white patients. Most medical imaging and diagnostic criteria are based on white populations, aka the Bayesian score. Signs and symptoms on black skin are often undertaught or missed entirely in medical education. Implicit biasness in healthcare. Black patients' reports of pain, fatigue, and joint instability are less likely to believe this is a fact. Please don't try to argue with me, right? Studies show that black patients are undertreated for pain and are often misdiagnosed with psychological disorders. We don't want to jump into that. EDS is misdiagnosed as other conditions in the black community. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus or autoimmune disorders, depression and anxiety, growing pains or normal aging, and arthritis without proper connective tissue evaluation. Diagnostic tools are white-centered. The Bayesian score used to assess hypermobility was standardized based on white and European populations. African Americans naturally have greater flexibility, leading to misinterpretation. So typically you can have where they can be overdiagnosed of being hypermobile when they could be normal, or underdiagnosis when hypermobility signs are present but dismissed. Genetic testing limitations. Genetic panels for EDS, especially vascular and classical types, are based on Eurocentric reference genomes. African ancestry variants are underrepresented, causing mispathogenic variants or variants of uncertain significance, labels that delay diagnosis. Lack of diversity in research. 93% of EDS research participants are white. Black, Hispanic, and indigenous individuals are severely underrepresented in studies and clinical trials. Do we know why? Come on now, right? Delayed diagnosis and poor outcome. Black patients experience an average of 5 to 10 years longer for a diagnosis for rare diseases compared to white patients. Now, dismissals of key symptoms are often dismissed in African Americans. Chronic joint pain, frequent dislocations or subluxations, fatigue and autonomic dysfunction, gastrointestinal problems, skin issues. Come on now. Do I need to say more?
Did you know that in the US, 1 in 4 people have a disability, yet on screen, only 3% of characters have a disability? As a creative disabled person who grew up with very little representation, character-driven stories with high stakes and disabled voices is something I really prioritize in a lot of my work. When I tell stories, especially stories around disability, I want to make sure the audience follows the character's journey, and I want them to really resonate with their experience, to laugh, to cry, to feel joy and anger with them in an authentic and real way.
Found me lonely, lost and lonely, one step away from just giving up slowly. I was a mess, I was afraid I'd be the girl who just put up a wall no one could break, till I found him running through the wild with half of a heart, made me a whole one out of the parts. Suddenly it's like I'm healed, didn't know that love was real until I found her. I found her.
Is we can't tackle ableism in the larger political structure if we can't tackle racism within the disabled community and how their voices are prioritized. Ableism and white privilege is very complex. It is very hard for white disabled people to accept that a disability does not mean you don't experience privilege in your life. There are wealthy white disabled people. The most of the people that I know who are disabled and working do not always come from income backgrounds. They tend to come from upper middle class or middle class backgrounds. You've had the privilege of going to school. You've had the privilege of having support that other people, other marginalized people in the disabled community don't. We may all be marginalized, but it's not in the same context.
You will never catch me at a protest, and it's not because I don't believe in the cause. It's because protests are not safe for disabled people. I have dwarfism, so I stand at about 4 feet and 3 inches tall. So when I am in any crowd of people, I can't see what is happening around the crowd of people. And very rarely am I in the front to actually understand what's going on. Let's say in a perfect world, I am in front of the group of people protesting. I'm still hard of hearing, and usually protest organizers don't hire ASL interpreters. So not only would I not be able to see anything that's happening, I also wouldn't be able to understand what the chants were, what the speakers are saying, nothing like that. I also am blind in my right eye. And I know that when you go to a protest, you need to kind of have your head on a swivel because anything can happen at any time. For me, I need to really be paying attention to my surroundings because I can't really hear and I can't really see. I'm really small, so that doesn't help anything. And my spine is fused, so I literally cannot have my head on a swivel. If I were to go to any event where I am standing or walking for a long period of time, I need my wheelchair. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. And most of the time, at least here in LA, the protest organizers never pick an accessible protest spot. There are usually no curb cuts, no elevators, there are stairs everywhere. So if I even were to go to a protest, I wouldn't be fully focused on the cause. I would be focused on how long am I gonna have to walk? Where in town is the protest taking place? Are there elevators? Are there stairs? Are there curb cuts? Can I get there? Can I see? Can I hear? Is it accessible in any way, shape, or form? Then you factor in the fact that I am immunocompromised, so I am not going to intentionally put myself into a large crowd of people in a small little space because I'm not getting sick and possibly being hospitalized for one cause for 2 hours of my time. Not to mention, let's say things do turn violent, right? It's always a possibility, and it has happened during these types of protests. Historically and statistically, disabled people like me are left behind in these kinds of events. And or I'm gonna get trampled because people are not looking down where I am. People are looking straight ahead, and they're not gonna see me as they are running from the potential danger. So not only might I get hurt, I might just cease to exist. So instead of physically going to a protest where I'm putting myself in danger, literally no matter what happens, I choose to share resources on my social media and speak out for the causes that I believe in on my platforms. I fully 100% stand behind the No Kings protests, but I am not physically going to be there to protest with all of you. If you're going, amazing, absolutely, as you should. It's just not safe for disabled people, point blank, period.
I feel embarrassed, shameful, I don't know, because I feel like every day I always have to wear this mask just to blend in. But let's be real, me being a Black woman with disabilities, it feels more like survival than a search for approval. You're following, my friend? It's this ongoing cycle of the pits of despair, then tenacity, and by the sheer grace of the universe, barely making it to the finish line. And I don't know if you're going through this, but I'm going through this too, and it's exhausting.
Hi friends, I wanted to do a little video and show off all of the mobility aids I'm currently using. So first of all, I have my wrist brace. I recently got diagnosed with hypermobility, and my biggest problem was my MC joint, which is right here. So this keeps it nice and steady. I'm gonna also be getting one for the top of my thumb because it's not supposed to do that. And in the same vein, I have a brace on this finger. It's really pretty, and it helps my finger not like go too far, because without it, she goes whoop, and then with it, there you go. And those help a lot since I use my hands for art all the time. I'm going to be getting another brace for this finger as well as a silver one for my thumb. Another mobility aid that I use is my leg brace. I have been in my leg brace since December. I have multiple different ones that have like different support levels depending on what I need that day, but I do wear my leg brace every day and sometimes when I'm sleeping. And last but not least, I have my cane. And my cane was the first mobility aid I got, and it's one I'll probably never get rid of. Now that I know that I'm hypermobile, I've realized, or I've learned that it takes so much more energy just to hold my own body up. So the cane really helps. It helps with the leg, it helps with fatigue, it helps with a lot of things. So right now, these are all of the aids I'm using. I'm probably going to be getting more for my joints, but for now, this is it.
Okay, I'm going to be making a few videos to answer some frequently asked questions. So the first question is, if you're not able to work any job due to your disability, even an online job, how are you still able to make videos on the internet? Short answer, I have 2 neurological conditions that make me unable to do most basic tasks. They also affect my cognitive function, and sitting here making a video about whatever's on my mind is a lot less cognitively and physically demanding than doing work that's assigned to you by a boss, doing it well, doing it on time, and holding the job. My main condition is POTS, and before you say it's not that serious, there are different severities, and my symptoms are on the more severe end of the spectrum, so it affects my life a lot. I also have severe migraines. When I record a video for social media, I'm sitting up in bed for about 5 or 20 minutes, and I can take breaks and lie down whenever I need to, and I can also choose to make videos whenever I feel like I can. My health conditions are unpredictable, and sometimes I can't make videos for days or weeks at a time. With a job, you would get fired for this. And before you say, why don't you just work an online job where you can choose your own hours? First of all, those jobs are extremely hard to come by. And like I said, I'm not cognitively capable of doing the things you need to do to work a job. POTS literally causes a lack of blood flow to the brain, especially when you have a more significant form of POTS like me. And migraines heavily affect cognition as well when you're having them frequently, so my brain does not work properly. Talking about a topic I'm already familiar with or whatever I'm thinking about at the moment is a lot easier cognitively than doing work assigned to you by a boss and keeping the job. And if you think that working a job isn't that much harder than making 1 or 2 social media videos a day, I'm genuinely curious what job you have in mind, and don't say social media manager or call center because both of those things require a significantly larger amount of focus, responsibility, time, preparation, and research than making videos on my personal account. I also heavily rely on my parents to take care of me and keep me fed, or else I would literally die because I struggle to do basic tasks so much, so adding another thing to my plate is just unfeasible.
I wanted to film a Get Ready With Me, however, with that said, Get Ready With Me videos are extremely hard for me to film alongside content in general. That's because I've been keeping a big secret from you guys. If you know me in real life, it's not a secret at all. My biggest kept secret is I have a genetic condition called Stargardt's disease. It's not something that I talk a whole lot about in general on the internet, but it is something that I'd like to start sharing a little bit more of and what it looks like for me in my life. Stargardt's disease, also known as macular dystrophy, is a genetic eye condition that renders me completely blind in my central vision. When I'm looking at the camera right now, I actually don't see my phone at all and have no idea if I'm making eye contact or if I'm even in frame, which that's 99.9% of my issue most of the time. Being that I have central blindness, that does mean I am a part of the blind community and have been a proud member since the ripe old age of 7 years old. My visual acuity is 20/300, meaning what you see at 300 feet away, I see at 20 feet away. It's just the easiest way to explain it. I grew up learning Braille and still use it from time to time. Some people ask why I don't use a white cane and I don't have glasses. I don't use a white cane because I am able to navigate the world around me enough that I don't necessarily need one. I don't wear glasses because they don't work, and surprise, surprise, if they did work, I would be wearing them a long time ago because it would have made my life a lot easier. Because of my vision, there are a couple of things that can be very challenging for me. One of those being is that I have never had a driver's license and legally can't, but honestly, I think I'm probably a better driver than most people in general, so I feel like I'd be fine on the road, but probably for legal purposes, definitely not. Good thing about not being able to drive, because there's always a silver lining in everything. I never have to be the DD. If I am, I'm the DD in the sense of the disabled driver. Even though I do face a lot of challenges, I have a very wonderful support system around me. If you found this interesting and want to learn more about Stargardt's disease or me as a person in general, please feel free to drop a question. I'd love to do like a Q&A. I am happy to answer any questions that you guys might have, and I'd love love to get to know everybody better and for you guys to get to know me a little bit better too. Since there are a lot of new people here, I want to be able to share my life with you guys.
Okay, let's talk about disability trope number 4. This one is actually kind of like a subcategory, so I'm going to do a couple of videos on this to show different examples of how this can look in real life in media. So disability trope number 4 is the use of disability as a metaphor to convey either that someone is evil or that somebody is weak. This gets used all the time in across all kinds of fictional media, where a character gets introduced and you know that there's something suspicious about them because they have a disability or they look different or they interact with the world in a different way. Disfigurement, especially facial disfigurement, is also often used for this trope. Or alternatively, a character gets introduced and you know that they are weak and they don't really have a lot of power in the narrative because they have a disability. And I'm going to break down in subsequent videos what this looks like in specific pieces of media and how to spot it and why it's not okay to still be perpetuating this in 2022. So if you want to hear more about this, hit the follow button and I will be doing more soon.
Feeling shitty in my bed, didn't take my fucking meds. Hyper pop up in my ears, everything just disappears. Don't wanna be someone else, just don't wanna hate myself.